Well, thanks everyone for coming today. My name is Matt Langer. I'm the Lieutenant Colonel of the Minnesota State Patrol. Just as a housekeeping matter, I'll be speaking first. I'll then turn it over to Commissioner Mona Doman, the Department of Public Safety Commissioner, and then also to Jack Van Steenberg, who's the Chief Safety Officer for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. I'll take questions after this is done for any general related items, and then I think some of the agencies that are represented behind us are more than willing to perhaps talk to if you have questions specific to what they're doing as related to the I-90-94 challenge. So thank you for being here today as we launch the I-90-94 challenge, a 15-state initiative to reduce death on heavily traveled and dangerous corridor from coast to coast. Joining me today are Commissioner of Public Safety Mona Doman and Jack Van Steenberg, the Chief Safety Officer from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Also behind me, you can see that we have representatives from several law enforcement agencies, including the Wisconsin State Patrol, the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, the Washington County Sheriff's Office, the Brooklyn Park Police Department, Woodbury Police Department, St. Cloud Police Department, Rogers Police Department, and the Minnesota State Patrol. This weekend, if you're traveling on I-90 or 94, you will certainly notice additional law enforcement presence, and with good reason. Law enforcement agencies in all 15 states will conduct enhanced and visible enforcement across all 3,100 miles of the Interstate I-90 corridor and over 2,500 miles of the I-94 corridor over the course of 4 days. The 15 participating states include Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Washington. From August 1st to the 4th over the past 3 years, this interstate corridor has had an average of 524 crashes, 136 injury crashes, 56 crashes involving a commercial vehicle, truck, or bus, 10 alcohol-related crashes, and 3 fatal crashes. Plain and simple, we're looking to go 0 for 4 during this 4-day challenge, meaning we want 0 fatalities from August 1st through the 4th on I-90 and 94. We start the clock this Friday, and we aim for 96 hours without a traffic-related death. Law enforcement will be looking for the usual violations, focusing specifically on seatbelts, speeding, impaired driving, distracted driving, motorcycle violations, and unsafe behaviors and equipment surrounding commercial vehicles. We're asking all motorists driving on I-90-94 to take the challenge with us, to slow down, wear your seatbelt, drive sober, and pay attention. I'll now turn it over to Commissioner Mona Doman, Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Minnesota.
Thank you, Colonel. Good morning. The Minnesota State Patrol is leading the I-90-94 challenge, but they're not alone, as you can see. The commitment and cooperation of law enforcement is clear. All 15 states along the corridor have joined together for this effort, and that includes state patrols, sheriff's deputies, and local police agencies. Friday through Monday of each week has traditionally been deadly, with the most fatal crashes of any 4-day period along the corridor over the past 3 years. This weekend, there are hundreds of law enforcement officers who would like that to be different. 4 days or 96 hours without a single fatality on I-90 or I-94. The challenge for law enforcement is to crack down on driving behaviors that too often have tragic consequences. The challenge for motorists is to drive like your life depended on it, because it does. If you are driving on I-90 or I-94, please slow down, wear your seatbelt, drive sober, and pay attention. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Next, we have Jack Van Steenberg, who is currently the Chief Safety Officer and an Assistant Administrator for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and prior to joining FMCA had 25 years with the New York State Police. Jack.
Thank you, Colonel. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak at the I-90-94 Challenge Kickoff. First, I would like to thank the Minnesota State Patrol and the International Association of Chiefs of Police for organizing this event throughout the I-90-94 corridor. I would especially like to thank Commissioner of Public Safety Mona Doman and Lieutenant Colonel Langer from the Minnesota State Patrol for their support of this law enforcement life-saving initiative. On behalf of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, Administrator Ann Farrow, it is an honor to be here to support this drive campaign throughout the corridor. The operational goal of this is to reduce crashes and fatalities using highly visible traffic enforcement across 3,100 miles of Interstate 90 and 2,500 miles of I-94. The part that interests me the most is the effort of the focus on trucks as well. When there's large truck crashes involving passenger vehicles, the results aren't too well. We know that the vast majority of trucking companies and drivers operate safely. Trucking serves as the backbone of our economy by moving both people and freight along Interstates 90 and 94 and elsewhere throughout the country. Our focus is on those carriers and drivers who endanger public safety. As a former New York State trooper, I know the key role that law enforcement plays in protecting public safety on our highways. Sadly, I've seen firsthand the impacts that traffic deaths has on families. These tragedies are preventable. We need law enforcement's help throughout the country. Our data shows that in crashes involving large trucks, 1/3 of large truck occupants aren't wearing seatbelts. 1 in 4 drivers were speeding. During 2012 on I-90-94 corridor alone, there were more than 600 crashes and 49 fatalities involving large trucks and buses. Did you know that 25% of work zone fatalities involve a large truck? Just about 10 days ago in Illinois, on an interstate, a tractor trailer was merging into one lane from 2 lanes in a work zone area, hit the back of a car, and killed 4 occupants. We have to slow these truck drivers down, and the people that are doing it are the men and women behind me today. So again, we need law enforcement's help to stop unsafe commercial vehicle drivers that are speeding, drivers that are improperly changing lanes, following too closely, texting, and cell phone. They call this event the I-90-94 Challenge for a reason. There's an average of 56 crashes involving large truck and buses during a typical 4-day period in August alone, the entire corridor. This weekend's goal is to cut them in half to 0 fatalities. It's not an easy one, and I believe we can do this. I commend the law enforcement agencies in 15 states from coast to coast that accepted this challenge issued by the Minnesota State Patrol. Your leadership has been instrumental throughout the nation. Thank you. And I wish you all the best of luck in meeting the life-saving goals set here. We at the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration are happy to be part of this event and support this law enforcement challenge effort 100%. Thank you very much. Colonel?
Thank you, Jack. I'll open it up for any questions that anybody has. Sir. The whole goal of this program is compliance, so a major component of it is being very visible. So if you're on I-90 or 94 this weekend, undoubtedly you will notice the presence of law enforcement, and that goal is aimed to prevent the tragedies that we see. I believe it is, yeah. The data shows that we can do this, and so the challenge is that we're going to band together from coast to coast and prove that enforcement and education make a difference, and we can go with 0 fatalities over the 4 days. It's hard to say over what's typical. I know I can speak for the State Patrol. We've compressed and added additional resources to focus particularly on I-90-94. That includes our aviation, airplanes looking for speed. That includes canine drug dogs. That includes commercial vehicle enforcement officers. That includes our command staff going out and working this weekend as well. And I think the other agencies are doing very similar things. So it's difficult to give a number, but I think it's, shooting from the hip, I would say that we'll probably have double the resources, double the presence that we usually do on any given weekend. I speak for Wisconsin, but I've seen their operational plan. Yeah, the answer is yes. They're doing very similar things, and a key component of this initiative was the Wisconsin State Patrol, I know, is viewing this the same way as Minnesota. That's the reason why we have local and county agencies with us, because they've joined forces with us and are going to go out toward the common goal of going 0 for 4. Yeah, great question. We just want people, if you're out on I-94, to take the challenge with us and help us to go 0 for 4. If you're on I-90 or 94 and you will see an additional presence, it will be something like perhaps you've never seen before, depending on where you're traveling and how far you're going. But if you see an officer, a trooper, a deputy out there, please slow down and move over. It's common sense, but it's also state law.